I ran up a check, I might do it again. Enemies close, had me thinking they're friends. 10 toes down, I'll be free until the end. Crib outside the city, I don't feel safe in my hands. Took so many years, I'm just waiting for the wins. I'm in debt to no one but the one who took my sins. I do it for real, there's no reason to pretend. If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me.
Welcome to the Millionaire Before 30 show.
This show is dedicated to giving you guys the blueprint of how to become a millionaire before 30 years old. I'm Ryan Zolin.
I'm Brent Daniels, Mr. Talk to People, Mr. TTP, and we are excited. We are excited. This is going to be part two. This is because last week we did part one of finding discounted deals, finding really good wholesale opportunities, really good investment opportunities off of the multiple listing service, which basically means working with real estate agents to be able to find opportunities.
Absolutely.
And that's your bread and butter.
That's my bread and butter. So we've got a few examples, again, we can go through today. And then we're going to open it up to questions, basically hoping you guys pick apart this deal and then obviously how to work with other agents, how to work with on-market deals, and then even how to structure them. So
awesome. Before we deep dive into the breakdown of this deal, Matt, will you just pop up that 5 steps, the 5-step blueprint to becoming a millionaire before 30? All right. So number 1 is just do a deal. All right. And it's really interesting. Before the show, Albert, Ryan's business partner, and I, we were talking about, doing a deal comes in a lot of different forms. Now, we're going to talk a lot about doing real estate deals because they're bigger and it's going to give you bigger returns and you're going to find bigger opportunities to make more money faster. But you were saying, you flipped a chair, you bought a chair for $40.
Oh, it was $40, and it's fun because it was date night for my girlfriend. I go to the auction, just bid on stuff, bought a chair for $40. I sold it that weekend for $200.
$160. So listen, guys, there are so many different opportunities. Now, obviously, we're going to talk a lot. We're going to give you a lot of instruction and around and a lot of action items around finding real estate deals so that that 160 turns into 16,000, which this deal is about to show us. Right. But obviously there's some different steps along the way. Ryan got his real estate license. He understood what a real estate contract was. He understood how to work with the title and escrow companies. And we'll break down all of those things, right? But what I'm trying to say here is if you just wanted to do something, take action right away, you can find something that's at a discount, flip it, make some money, and that's doing a deal. So that's the bottom. Put that up one more time, Matt. That's the bottom of this ladder, this blueprint. Next is to get it to the point where you're making enough to go full-time.
Full-time, absolutely, yeah. Because for me, I could tell you a lot of people in the industry, I always say part-time effort is going to give part-time results. Where the minute you're able to make that full-time leap, you can actually put in 40, 50, 60 hours into your business, and that's when it actually starts to flourish and really you start to see the results.
That's it. Next is killing the debt, right? We need to make sure that we are building our wealth and not just giving our wealth away to somebody to build somebody else's wealth, and that is in the form of interest. Let me tell you this right now. Debt is what is preventing most people from becoming wealthy. I'm telling you, people call it leverage. It's debt. All right. Now, there's some interesting leverage. We'll get into it on other shows in this for Millionaire Before 30. But I'm talking about consumer debt. I'm talking about student debt. I'm talking about car debt. Okay, that's what we're talking about. Next is investing in assets.
So once you get rid of all the debt, you're able to start bringing in some income. Once you're able to take that money and invest it into assets that create a passive cash flow every single month, then you have your money start working for you.
That's it.
This is where it's beautiful because whether you're making money or not, you're having money invested into properties that should be bringing in some kind of a return. And at that point, that will lead to step 5.
And that's financial freedom. That is where you are. That is when your assets, when the money that you have made is making so much money for you that you no longer have to go out and provide value. You don't have to go out there and work if you don't want to. Now, I think most of us love providing value. We love working. It's just like a never-ending, unsatisfying, like the well is never empty type of thing. But it gives you options, and that's really what financial financial freedom. That's really what freedom is having options. So that's what we're talking about here. That is the plan. That is the blueprint. And we are going to convince you every single week to follow this plan, because I'm telling you, if you do it, you will be successful. You will be successful at building $1 million net worth before the age of 30. So without further ado,
absolutely,
let's look at a settlement statement, so we can start with the end, and then work
Reverse
our way back.
engineer it.
Yeah, for sure. So why don't you break this one down for us?
All right. So this was a property that we did in Gilbert. It was earlier this year. The reason we picked this one is because there was a few learning lessons for us that Albert and I can speak on. But this is a settlement sheet. This is what you get when you close on the property. As you guys can see, we have it highlighted our assignment fee. So I didn't actually purchase it. I ended up wholesaling it out. And you can see there was even 2 other assignment fees underneath mine. So I ended up having one of our buddies, shout out to Corey Geary, help us sell this property. We also were able to get commission. Obviously, as you guys know, being on market properties, this being my bread and butter, we're able to kind of double dip, where we're able to get an assignment fee along with the commission. So a few lines above that, it is the $11,825 that we got coming to our brokerage as well. So like you had said earlier, that $160 payday, we were able to literally turn that from $160 to like a $16,000 payday here with this example.
Right.
But yeah, it was also cool because, as you can see, again, what we were talking about last week is a lot of people would get upset saying, man, I don't have good buyers. I'm not direct to the end buyer, or whatever the case. We made $16,000. One of our buddies made 15, 14, whatever that is.
Yep.
And then another guy made 1,500.
Yep.
So this is the settlement sheet breaking down what those numbers look like. But as you guys can see, we walked away with about 16 on this one. So.
And I really like showing these. One, because I want everybody to get comfortable looking at this.
Absolutely.
Pull that up real quick, Matt, because I just want to point something out here. So the 2 words that are really important are at the very top, and they're yellow. Okay, it's debit and credit.
Yep.
Okay, this is really important, right? The credit is the money in, the debit is the money out.
Yep.
Okay. That is what we're talking about. That is what we're looking at. I'm sorry, the debit is the money in, the credit is the money out.
Yeah.
And what you're looking at there is just understanding and being comfortable with this, so that as you're closing deals, you can make sure that your assignment fee is on there. And if you're an agent, making sure that your commission is correct on there. And just showing you what to expect when this closes. How much money are you actually going to receive once this closes? And all of the assignments, all the commissions should be handled by a title company or a closing attorney, depending on what state you're in. All right, but these settlement statements are nationwide. They all look like this. They're all going to be a breakdown of the debits and credits, and it's all going to be really, really, really clean. So it's really important that all of the money, all of the checks, all the payment that you get is coming through the title company. Don't be convinced that somebody's going to pay you outside of the transaction. Put it on paper, put it there, make sure that it's legit, and make sure that you get paid from the title company, so you're not chasing somebody around to get paid.
After the fact, yep, absolutely.
So how did you find this deal?
MLS
again. And it's really interesting. On that, you had 3 assignments.
We
talked about this last week. And if you're just getting caught up right now, it's a little bit of a different strategy. When you pull it off of the MLS, you suggest bring it to your core buyers.
Absolutely.
Don't just blast this out to the world, because then all of a sudden you're going to get a lot of you open the door for the opportunity for some terrible professionals out there to try to go to the property or try to see it or try to run into it. Or
that was one of our lessons that we had on this one. And so we had talked about it briefly last week. This one, we were not able to get out to our core people.
Okay.
In hindsight, I could tell you that Albert and I were talking before the show. We were kind of kicking ourselves like, man, we didn't flip this. We're going to get into the numbers and where the end buyer ended up selling it to in a little bit. But in hindsight, if our top 5 buyers are not interested in this, did I really make that bad of a decision?
Right.
I mean, at least I had the reassurance from other people that I look up to and respect that also flip, that they said, this isn't for me.
Right.
So we ended up having to go with the route of having a big dispo arm blast out the deal. We hit up Corey Geary with True Top Offer, and he ended up selling out the deal. The big piece for this one was that we ended up getting a price reduction. Again, we'll get into that in a minute.
Yep.
But the end buyer ended up going to the property. They were knocking on the door, basically being like, yo, we're going to come in. We're looking at this property right now. And had I not been able to facilitate the seller, the listing agent, the dispo arm and the end buyer saying, guys, chill out.
Yeah.
It could have really blown up into something like
this one here, or the last
this one.
This one too.
This one, yeah. This is the one.
This is the one.
Yeah.
This is the one we were talking about last week. Okay,
yeah.
got it.
And so this one was just, it had the potential of going really bad really quick because it was blasted out on a list where it had been seen by, I mean, probably 50, 60,000 people. So
So it kind of defeats the purpose. You bring it to somebody, and then they blast it out, and then you're dealing with the after effects. So
absolutely.
It's really important that you really trust the person that you're sending it to, and seeing if they're going to actually buy it. Now, the smoothest, the easiest is selling this to the actual person that's going to do the work.
Most definitely.
As
Or even if you had somebody that was like, oh, it's my partner, or it's somebody that I know that is direct end buyer. And in this instance, we knew Corey wasn't going to be buying it. Right. He was like, let me wholesale it out. The thing that we needed was a big price reduction.
Yeah.
So we had it under contract. What did we say? 445.
It was 445. Okay. We got it.
So we had it at 445. We relied on getting a $15,000 price reduction, which we definitely do not recommend doing. We were in the instance of deciding between this one and another house to flip. We decided to go with the other one.
Yeah.
And then this one, we got the price reduction. We were able to really figure out what the seller's motivation was. And when we told them we were going to have to cancel, we found out that he was under contract with the house to buy.
Yes.
So if he couldn't have gotten the equity from this house as a down payment for that house, he was not only going to lose selling his house, he was going to lose buying the other one.
Right.
So again, I hate that his feet were to the fire there, but one man's trash was another man's treasure for us, was that we were able to really capitalize on that situation.
Got it.
We got the $15K reduction and then wholesaled it out.
Awesome. All right.
So
show us how you found it.
You got it.
All right.
We'll switch it over to the MLS page.
There it is.
So here we are again. We just go through. First thing, as you guys know, I don't like looking at the photos. I go right to tax records. And we got this one again. It was at 430 because we got that 15K price reduction. The big piece for me was looking at it. This was actually our best comp, if I remember. Or no, this was.
It's one of them.
One of the comps. Because this one sold after the fact, though. But I think this sold twice because one of the houses next door was like a really big house.
Okay.
And so 2,500 were 22. Again, being 515 though, 445, there's not too much spread there. And if I remember correctly, this one was sold twice and it was right around that price. It was a 5 in front of it.
Yeah.
So look at what this one could flip for.
Oh, trust me, I know. Again, if we had known that this is where ARV could have pushed, and it wasn't even like I had the hesitance, it was more of just the bigger house and the layout.
So just so everybody's seeing this, you closed on it for 430.
430, yep.
Right? That was what you closed on.
Yep.
And if you look there, real small, it has obviously already been flipped and sold to an end buyer for $560.
And I think with all the
guys,
assignments,
this happens every single day.
Yep.
Every single day, these type of deals, and you guys are finding it on the MLS. It's bananas. Okay.
I believe with all the assignments, the end number on this ended up being around 450.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
I mean, but still, though, 450 to 560, they put in probably 60, 70 into it, walked away making 40, 50.
Right.
Had we gotten it at our 430 price, would have been a very good payday.
Very good payday.
As you guys can see, I mean, that's just how, looking at it now, I can tell you exactly why it's a deal. But we had 475 here, too. Like, there was just a lot of all over the place. So we just figured it's easier to wholesale. In my opinion, if I'm ever like on the fence about it, I'd rather take the quick, easy money and then reinvest that into making the next deal, unless we know it's a home run. So going into the report, we can kind of show you guys some of the things that popped out to us. I don't remember if it was anything in the public or private remarks.
Well, with that said, Ryan, the timing of this one was we got 2 of them under contract and under the same week. So when we were looking whether or not to wholesale or flip it, we evaluated which one's the one that's more fun, which one's the one that has the better opportunity versus.
And I believe we went with Erie because of its location.
Yeah, we wanted to bank on the location because we don't have a crystal ball. We have no idea where the market goes, right?
Yep.
So it's not good practice to flip to appreciation.
Yeah.
Got it. Love it.
And that one, again, like, it's not that this is obviously it was a deal, but for us, it was just one we were on the fence about. Going back to the MLS page, though, as you guys can see, this even goes against my theory I was teaching last week. We said 10 plus days.
Yeah.
This one was 6.
Yeah.
So as you guys can see, this was listed at 475. They ended up dropping it right from the beginning to 450, and it kind of caught my attention because I'm like, whoa, like that's a pretty big drop right there.
I'm hearing what you're saying, but I'm reading what the private remarks are saying.
Yes. Motivated seller. Seller is currently closing on another property with security title agency.
Zoom in that, please.
Yep.
Look at this. So listen, again, this is a huge advantage that real estate agents have, or people that have access. Like, get somebody that you're partnered up with. If you don't have your license, get somebody that has a license that you can partner up with and get access to these listings, because this is private remarks. This is not going to be on Zillow. This is not going to be told on PropStream. This is not going to be told on Realtor.com. These are private remarks specifically from one real estate agent to another. It's like a secret chat room, right? A little secret box. And when you see something pop up that says motivated seller,
yep,
you got to jump on that.
Absolutely. And full transparency, I don't even remember seeing that private remarks. I mean, that was probably one of the things that popped up for us, was motivated being a keyword.
So what popped up? I mean, how did this pop up to you guys?
This was keyword motivated.
Keyword
motivated.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so then going in, we obviously can see the private remarks is there. You can see the agent on my team that represented us in the transaction.
Mm-hmm.
And now after going through all that, we can go through the photos.
All right.
And this was one that, because it was right around the corner from us, we actually did go out and check out the property.
Sure.
It was not bad. That wall needed to go. I think they ended up keeping it, didn't they?
Yeah, they kept it, but when we get to the kitchen, they reformatted it later.
They've got the concrete
That's
floors.
That's a weird floor plan.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a big house too. It's 5 bedrooms, so it was used as an assisted living facility.
Okay,
yeah.
That makes sense.
Just kind of an awkward layout, and the kitchen is what was very. Because if I remember correctly, they flipped it this way, right?
Oh yeah, they moved.
We can go through the other one in a minute, what it looks like after.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think the beauty of it is when there's weird layouts, that's also another way to jump on the MLS, because the traditional buyers don't want to deal with an layout because they don't have the means, they don't have the time, energy, or effort to really, let me restructure this whole house so that will sit there to the traditional market.
Yep.
But for the investor market, it's like perfect.
And this was also backed up to a power line, which was one of the other reasons we didn't flip it. There was no pool. It had a half gate. And this is your pantry. I mean, this is a kitchen. This is not going to sell to a family that wants to come in that's like, I need a beautiful, drop-dead gorgeous kitchen. I mean, you've got the oak cabinets. What even is that counter, Albert?
Formica.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Old
laminate.
Old school.
Yeah.
And then there you go is the master bathroom.
So it's dated. It's 1990s.
Yep.
It's 1990s. They ripped out the floor because it's an assisted living, so that people could push walkers and
all the flooring was DIY, so it wasn't even wasn't done by a contractor.
Okay.
It was all on level. You could see it in the grout. This fence had to go. They had a nice little turf patch. But then again, they do a very good job of not showing you the power lines on the other side.
Right. Yeah.
There
they are.
There it is.
There they are.
And then you could even see it back there.
So let me ask you, was there any other offers that you were negotiating against?
There was one other offer that came in.
Okay.
I don't know if they were higher or lower than us. The agent ended up really just resonating with me because Albert and I, again, were talking about it before the show. I don't know what happened, but I was like so hyped with the team. I'm like, we're gonna find a deal today.
Yeah.
Hopped on the MLS within 10 minutes. I found this one. I'm like, submit an offer. Let's go. And I talked
tension.
Literally. And so I talked to the agent, and I just remember building such good rapport with her that the minute even that designer, our end buyer, ended up showing up, her first reaction was to call me and be like, why didn't you tell me the designer was coming? Is everything okay? Like is the deal gonna blow up? Like, I just want to make sure everything's all good. Most agents would call like super pissed off, like, whoa, my seller let your client in, that's unbelievable, blah 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 blah. Like, so this instance was pretty good. I mean, this was a good one.
Let me ask you, so do you send the offer and then you make the initial contact with the agent?
It varies. It
call
varies
the
by
agent
deal.
first and then send it?
Recently we've been doing a lot more send then call.
Okay.
But with that said, we've had better success with doing the call then send.
Right.
But what we're noticing is that I want more quantity of offers going out now rather than quality.
Yeah.
So we have better at-bats.
Yeah.
So that's where I say send. Let them contact us, counter us, and then we have follow-ups where we'll reach back out.
You said quantity?
Quantity.
Quantity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I want more offers out, more opportunities, rather than let's focus on getting a $100,000 price.
Do you have a goal, a daily goal, a weekly goal?
5 a day.
Five contracts a day.
Yeah, as a team.
Out to realtors.
5 a day is 25 a week, 100 a month. On that, we'll get about 15 under contract, and then we'll close on about 7 to 10 of them. And that's like our average.
100 offers to 7 deals.
Yep.
Woo!
Yep.
Listen, are you taking notes? Are you following this? Like, oh my goodness gracious. So I want to take this back a little bit. So I'm putting myself in the mind of somebody that's excited. They're just getting into real estate.
Yep.
They're just making these connections with a real estate agent. If they don't have their license, right?
Yep.
And they're like, but I want to be able to do this.
Yep.
How does somebody without a license, they have to partner up with somebody that does.
Yep.
Right.
Partner up with somebody that does.
And then say what should they say to somebody that has a license and say, hey, listen, I think that we can get these opportunities. I'm willing to put in the work.
Yep.
I'm willing to do the research on these deals. Willing to submit the offers, but I need you to talk to these other agents.
So I think that where most people go wrong with any type of business transaction, because that's what this is, is it's leverage. You need to be able to bring value to the person that you're looking to get whatever the results are from.
Yep.
So in this case, if you're looking to go and get MLS access, you need to bring value to that agent of saying, it's going to like paint the picture. It's going to be discouraging. We're going to be submitting a lot of offers. Yeah. However, with that said, I know you're a hungry agent. I know you want to get as much commission as possible. What if I could paint this picture to you that we're going to get at least 3 to 5 transactions a month? 2.5 to 3% of what could be about $1.5 to $2 million a month in volume.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean that's $30,000 to $40,000 in commission.
What if the
right
agent gets to keep the commission?
Yep.
And you get to
the
keep
MLS
you get to keep the assignment fees.
You could do absolutely, and that's if anything, that's what I would recommend is more of that, because then it's a win-win.
That's a huge win-win.
Because most people go in, they're like, well, I'll tell them I'll list it with them when I flip it. I'm like, but if you're never planning on flipping, you're lying to these agents. Like you're
and that only lasts so long.
Exactly before they catch on.
Well, and listen, agents are goldfish, right? It's like, oh, there's a deal over there. Oh, there's a buyer over here. Oh, I got to go on this listing appointment. Oh, I got to do all this. So if you don't have somebody that's a dedicated person. So what I would recommend is obviously I would find somebody that's in these investment groups that you really, have a good energy, a good connection with. They have that good, as Jamil Damji would say, the good vibrations about them that you're in tune with, and you start the relationship as you be the agent negotiating these things. I'll be the one doing the legwork, and I'll find the buyers for them. That's a nice marriage.
Absolutely.
That is a nice marriage. Yep. Oh my gosh. And you get to keep the commission. I'll keep the assignment fees. How does that sound? Or we could put it in a pot and split it 50-50 if you want. There's a lot of different ways that you can customize this relationship.
The cleanest way that a broker would tell you to do it is exactly what you said a minute ago. Do the commission on one side, assignment on the other.
Yeah.
Because their argument would be that with you not being licensed, you legally cannot get part of the commission.
Sure.
So if that's the case, that's fine. Make it a win-win where the agent takes the commission and you get the assignment fee. And it's like, I think that there's a serious relationship that can be made there. And if you do that apart with 3 to 5 agents that are rock stars, I mean, that's the model.
Let's see what this house looks like after they flipped it.
You got it.
Look at this thing. Come on.
So
they sold it in 15 days.
15
multiple offers at 560. Let's take a look at what it looks like now.
Yep.
I love this. You know why I love this? Like, this whole neighborhood changes because of the work that we do.
Yep.
I'm telling you, somebody could have sold this to somebody that literally, like a Zillow or an OfferPad or an Open Door or something, that went in and did a really, really, really bad, just
a paint and carpet,
just
floors,
lipstick on a pig, just kick the can down the way, because
Seriously.
it's going to need to be renovated and the floor plan's going to need to be worked. Instead, we sell to a local real estate investor that actually cares. Obviously, they want to make a profit, but they know they have pride in this. They have pride in their work and in the product that they put out. I love that, man. I think that's huge, especially in our market where we have all of those iBuyers, and it's just disgusting to see the rehabs that they do.
Seriously,
it's soulless to me. It really is soulless.
There's no pride, no pride in it.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, because at the end of the day, we took the other one by it's a good mall here by in Gilbert, Santan.
Yep.
It's just a more fun area, and just like you said, someone's going to want to live here. And this house, they're not going to want to live in this house, but give them a pretty house in this awesome area. Oh yeah, they'll be here any day.
Fantastic, awesome. Guys, if you have questions as we're talking here, make sure that you're putting them in the comments. Alejandro's going to be selecting the questions, and we're going to be opening this thing up for over an hour. of question and answer and going. So this show is about making sure that there's no mysteries to what we're talking about. There's no mysteries to the blueprint that we've put out there, and there's no mysteries to how you can start on the first step of doing a deal.
Absolutely.
All right? So make sure that you're putting in, make sure that you're participating. The show ends up being a lot better with you guys part of it. So don't be scared, have courage, ask the questions, and we will get to it. Alejandra's loading them up as we speak. We just, I mean, it's incredible. A couple different things. One, you guys talked about something, and I think it's important to note before we open this thing up to questions, and it's really two things. You said one, and Albert said one. One is the quick, easy money, right? Getting that quick, easy money, getting that win, getting it into the account, putting it in there, as opposed to having ideas. I deal with this a lot coaching around the country. Should I flip this? Should I wholesale this? And oftentimes it's like, well, do you have the ability to flip it? Yes, I do, but I have to partner with this person. It's 50% here. It's going to take 90 days, 120 days. I said, listen, sell it to a cash buyer. Get the income. Build that income. I want that income. I want in your account. I want cash available to you, 6 figures.
Right.
That's what I like.
Absolutely.
I like having that buffer zone. I like having that money. Now you can start. It really opens up a lot of different opportunities, but you have to stack the cash.
Have to.
And then the second one is don't flip for appreciation. Right? Don't make the decisions assuming that the appreciation that this market's always going to increase, the values are always going to increase. If you're buying a property that's close to retail value now with the hopes that it'll be worth 10, 15% more in the next 90, 120 days, you will get caught at some point.
You will.
That is not savvy investing.
Nope.
That is like... That's like playing. That's the danger zone.
I'm all about risk. I'm all about risk, but there's calculated risk.
Yeah.
And at that point, you don't bet on appreciation. Not in a market, especially one that just is consistently rising, because at any point, you're going to start seeing a correction. Right now, you're already seeing the correction in this market specifically.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, did you want to go through the rest of these photos and show them what it looks like?
Let's do it.
Yeah, and open up to some
questions.
questions.
Are we looking, do we have some loaded up? Okay.
So this is the kitchen, as you guys can see. I love they did the waterfall edge. They got all new cabinets. This is what I was talking about with the pantry. I think that the way that they were able to incorporate a little bit of sliding doors, I think that's a good little touch. This is what Albert and I were just talking about, some different backsplash ideas.
Yeah.
What do you got here, Albert?
I'm going through, so here's the thing, right? When you're going looking for on-market deals, the beauty is usually there's some good pictures there. And what you got to get good at is envisioning what the space can be, both aesthetically and usability. A lot of things that I've noticed in the time that I'm flipping houses, a lot of things look pretty, but I like usability. I flip to usability. How is this house going to make someone's life way easier in their day-to-day life? And it's just the little touches that make all the difference. I mean, this is a functional layout. Just looking at that, flipping that island, go straight to your great room, enjoy. You're not walking around anything, not banging your groceries on anything.
And there was even a wall up.
Yeah, there's a wall up and it's gone. So it's flipping to usability and putting the aesthetics as a second priority. Clearly, they did a good job here. I have nothing bad to say at all. That's a very nice house.
So
awesome.
They cleaned up that front yard.
I think it's incredible. Like back, 10 years ago even, it was like canned lighting. Recessed lighting is everything, and now everybody's like, "Oh no, I hate recessed lighting. We need these. Let's put these lamps coming down, right? Let's put these fixtures that make it look more rich. Yeah, there you go.
I love it.
Interesting.
The only thing I did not agree with was the black appliances, but whatever, to each their own.
Okay.
Master bath. I mean, this is a big difference. If you remember the little square that they had, a rectangle, they were able to put a freestanding tub. Goes back to the kitchen. Interesting. But here you go. I mean, the flooring just feels a lot more open.
Yeah.
Much better.
Great.
And there we go. Pantry.
There you go.
Yeah, they did a fantastic job on this. And as you guys can see, they made some money. There's that shower. Awesome. Guest bathroom. But yeah, that's the property. That was another deal. It's our MLS property of the day, how we do it.
MLS property of the day. I love that. Now, listen, just as a side note, we talked about this before. If you have not read this book, you need to read this book or get the Audible today. Old school. These are the principles that have lasted. This book is almost 100 years old, if you can believe it. It was originally published in 1931, but it's really, really interesting. Both of us have read it.
Yep.
Us and millions more people have read it, but it's really, really, really interesting. This guy, Napoleon Hill, went around and interviewed all of the tycoons of that early 1900s era and figured out what did they do differently. What was different about their brains? What was different about the way that they saw the world? What was different about the way that they took action, right? And it's really interesting. The top thing that I really got out of this book, and I remember it very vividly, was the whole idea of the mastermind, right? This is squatting up. This is getting people on your team that are way smarter, way more talented, way more experienced, way more skillful on your team, and taking advantage of everybody's different unique abilities and really growing something that's special and huge. And he talks about some of these huge tycoons. They weren't the smartest.
Right.
They weren't the first to the industry. They weren't didn't do anything wildly different, except for they had the ability to bring in the best people to surround them and really buy into their vision.
Absolutely.
Really buy into what they were trying to do.
Absolutely.
And that is huge. What about you?
For me, I was able to take away two things. The first one was literally the title. I mean, Think and Grow Rich. You and I were even talking about this. Was like just being able to manifest. Like, if I'm going to think about making money, I'm going to start making money. If I'm going to think about going out and making this certain life, you're going to go out and make that certain life. Yep. It's just taking the consistent actions. The other one, which is kind of my favorite part, is be stubborn. Okay. Just like you said, the whole like surrounding yourself with the right people. For me, it was also understanding that you have to see something through. You have to go through and learn the lessons, and that's how you get around the right people. It's not just by, you're not just going to click your heels together, snap your fingers, and bam, you've got the best team. So yeah, that's one of my all-time favorites. I haven't read that one. It's been a couple of years. I've got to go back and do a refresher, but that was one of my staples.
Yeah.
Definitely one of my staples.
I've given that away a lot.
Yeah.
Yep. So let's open this thing up. Let's crack this thing open and just start answering some questions from everybody out there. If you've got questions on sourcing opportunities, if you got questions about building wealth, bring it. And if you're celebrating something, we want to recognize you. So make sure that you post any good news as well on your journey to becoming a millionaire before 30. So rock and roll. What do we got, Alejandro? How the double dip worked.
Yeah.
Shalom. Shalom, shalom.
So this could be referred to in a couple different ways. If you are an agent referring to double dipping, that's usually referred to as a dual agency. That's where the listing agent would represent both the seller and the buyer. That is one of the double dips. The other double dip is what we do, which is where we are licensed. We get the commission with representing ourselves as the buyer along with the wholesale fee. So it would just be basically getting a purchase contract and then doing an assignment contract or double closing it with another purchase contract. And then obviously if the other agent was representing you for dual agency, they would handle all the paperwork.
Yeah, the beautiful advantage of buying deals off the MLS is the seller and their agent expect to pay a commission to the agent that is bringing the buyer.
Yep.
So one, you've got that built into the deal, and two, when you assign that deal, there's your double dip. Or if you want to close on it like you guys did on the Erie deal, then the double dip is when you sell that and get the profits from the flip. So there's a couple different ways.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, getting the deals off the MLS gives you that extra little benefit of getting the commission, for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right, from Ada. As an investor realtor, when calling the listing agent, do you disclose that you are a realtor, especially that I'm planning to wholesale it? So my conversation usually goes with, hey, I'm an investor here in Gilbert. I'm looking to purchase your property on 123 Main Street. I don't necessarily jump into saying and disclosing that I'm a realtor right from the start, because the minute you do, their guard might go up a little bit. They may not be willing to disclose as much about the property, where if you come across saying that you're an investor, they're probably going to be like, okay, well, what do you want to know about the property? Here's the condition, here's the situation, here's this, here's that, here's the other. Then when you could flip it and say, okay, well, I appreciate that. Once you've broken down their walls and you figure out everything about the property's condition and the seller's situation, that determines right in that moment if we're going to end up representing ourselves in the transaction or having them represent us. So that's why I hold off, is because once I could figure out what the best situation is for the seller, then I'm able to figure out what our best situation would be for us to actually have a chance to get the deal. It may not always be with us representing ourselves. It may be with them representing us. As for disclosing to wholesale it, I don't disclose that I'm going to wholesale it. I say I'm going to JV it if that comes up in conversation. So, what about you?
Well, listen, every deal that I look at as the buyer.
Yeah.
I do.
I'm the buyer.
Yeah, I'm the buyer. I'm going out and I have the intention of buying that property each time. I love buying great deals. We buy deals every month. We buy deals every week. You know what I mean? So I go out as the buyer with the option to be able to market that property to my database of cash buyers as an exit strategy. It's just one of the exit strategies, right? You have 3 options when it comes to an exit strategy, truly. 1 is wholesaling it. 2, buy it, clean it up, flip it. That could be wholesaling, and that could be just flipping. That goes into the same category. You got to buy it and sell it. And then the 3rd is to buy it to hold. That's really it. You don't have to overcomplicate this. It's either you're buying it to hold, buying it to flip, or buying it to wholesale. You know, and those are your 3 options that you have. And if you look at them with 3 options, through the filter of 3 options, it really gives you a lot of flexibility on these properties, because you might see that you can make $30,000 on an assignment fee, but maybe that'd be a really nice portfolio property. Maybe you want to just keep that property for a while. So I always go in, Ada, as the buyer. I have set that up with my own capital. Before I had my own capital, building that up, I had relationships with a private investor that had a bunch of money, and we just partnered. And then after that, it was I had enough for a down payment so that I could go to a hard money or private money lender. So I always had the financial backing to be able to submit these offers in good faith, knowing that I can close on them.
Right.
That's important.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, that's important. Especially if you're dealing with these agents, have the ability to close the deal.
Integrity.
They're all going to want proof of funds.
Yep.
They're all going to want to know that you were able to do this deal. They might even call the hard money lender or private money lender, confirm that they know who you are and what you're doing. So build those relationships. Set that up, Ada. If you don't have the capital to purchase it yourself, then find somebody, squat up with somebody in your market that has the capital that would close on that deal anytime. And trust me, there's so many people that will. So just squat up. Tony knows the vibes. What does the conversation look like when building a bond with a real estate agent to do business? Love it.
That's a really good one. So building a bond with a real estate agent, it's kind of like what we were talking about a little bit earlier.
I think he's referring to partnering.
Like
he doesn't have a license.
Okay.
He wants to talk to somebody that does have a license.
Okay.
So number 1, Tony, filter it through. These got to be people that want to be investors.
Absolutely.
These have to be people that have an investor mindset. I love people fresh to the industry. I do. I love people that are fresh, and
I like the go-getters.
And that have some sort of sales background.
Yeah.
Some sort of sales, because it's going to be up to the agent to build that rapport and build that relationship with the other agent so that you get those deals. They're getting a lot of these deals because the people like Albert, they like Ryan, they like their team, they like communicating with them, they're saying the right things, they're staying in front of them, right? You need somebody that is a social butterfly, somebody that has that expressive personality, that's driven, that's going to be able to communicate with that agent, and that's going to be most of it.
Right.
That's going to be most of it. So what I would do is I would find somebody that's hungry to be a real estate investor and say, hey, you got your license. I'm building up these cash buyer database over here. We can do something special here. Let me go raise the funds. Let me go find the private money. Let me go make sure that I can facilitate and get all these deals done. All I need you to do is when these offers get submitted, talk to the agents and
sell them on sell them why I'm the best offer. It's like Albert always says, you want, like, what we do as when we represent ourselves is that we're having conversation with the listing agent, making sure they understand that they're selling our offer to the seller. Well, in this instance, you're looking for somebody that's going to represent you, that's going to be doing that same thing on your behalf, representing you as the buyer. So go-getters are definitely the agents you want.
Yep. And just make sure you like them.
Right.
Because money will go to their head. Money of deals, money, all of a sudden they're going on vacation. You're like, what's going on? Have the communication. Build really good communication. Celebrate together. Console each other when you lose out on deals. Like, it's got to be a good bond there. It's got to be something that's respectful, and it's a win-win.
For sure.
Today,
all right.
Do you mind explaining more about the relationship between a real estate agent you know personally and the listing agent? Would the agent you know make the commission when the house is sold?
Yeah. So explain more about the relationship between a real estate agent, you know, personally, and the listing agent. So, I mean, one, you know, personally, if you're referring to one that would represent you as the buyer, I mean, that is just them going and basically working their ass off. They've got to be willing to, just like we were saying a second ago, be a go-getter. The listing agent, they're the person that has the property that we're writing the offers on. In a perfect world, if you're looking to find the best leverage, the person that's going to be bringing you the deals that have the best potential of you buying or wholesaling would be coming from a listing agent directly, just because there's a little bit more wiggle room and flexibility on their end with the commission and having the listing in their back pocket as well. So,
love it.
Yeah.
Yep. Perfect. And yes, the agent, you know, typically I think in that relationship would make the commission.
Yeah. Paid by the seller.
They would get paid by the seller
once it closes.
The closing.
Yep.
And that's a huge advantage. Could you imagine being a real estate agent? You're just putting in offers, negotiating with agents, and you're closing 6 deals a month.
Well, dude, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what
you're the top 0.5% in the world.
In the world, literally. Yeah, and that's what I try to say. Like, when I can tell people,
you could make $40,000-$50,000 a month as an agent.
From that, a month, not a year.
Depending on your
market.
I mean, obviously these properties you were going after 400,000.
But even so, I mean, take it off 200,000.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 6,000.
6,000.
Do that 5 times in a month. That's
30 grand.
30. I mean, that's.
And you're not schlepping somebody around in your car all day and showing properties and you know,
and that was the thing for me when I started as a traditional agent. Remember what I think I said this in the first show was like when I first started, I was like, I was so naive that I thought that if I could have my first deal by 30, I'd be so far ahead.
Right.
Well, I can tell you the average agent, what they think is like, man, if I could get 1 deal a month, that would be amazing. That's 12 a year.
Listen, they literally tell, this is in every single brokerage that I've ever been a part of, it'll take you 6 months to do your first deal in real estate.
Yep.
That's what they say.
Yep.
They say you got to build it up and you got to talk to all your family and you got to tell all your family and friends and you got to be posting on social media and you got to be doing these things and you got to be marketing and you got to be door knocking and you got to be cold calling and you got to be doing all of these things. Or you hook up with a bad-ass wholesaler investor that's watching right now or watching this later, and holy cow, if you're a real estate agent and you're not wholesaling,
dude, that's a tool in the tool belt that it triples your income.
Come on.
Triples your income.
Come on. I mean, even if you didn't want to wholesale, even if you're like, I don't know. Can you go back? Oh, well, okay. I want calling kings too. Yeah. All right, I'm a licensed agent. How do I make this happen for myself? Golden. Here we go, brother. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, thank you.
How do I make this happen? Dude, okay, so I mean, I would tell you social media is going to be your best friend, finding the people that are actually doing deals. When Albert signed on a closing we've got for tomorrow yesterday, I told him the title company, hey, dude, ask title, who's the best buyer I should know. It's always just networking. It's putting yourself out there to have more opportunities because at the end of the day, like, anybody could do this. What you need to understand is that you need to be getting this information from people that you look up to and respect and the ones that are actually doing what you're looking for. So like if you're looking for, as a licensed agent, are you looking for end buyers? That's easy. Title company, tax records, find Zillow, like who the last 6 months people have bought in the specific area you're wholesaling. If you're looking to build relationships with hard money lenders, I mean, that's just calling an investor and asking who to use to lend money. If you're looking for other fix and flippers, you could find properties on the MLS that have been rehabbed like this one that I just showed you guys. See who the end buyer was. What did they buy it for? Now you've got connections of who the wholesaler was that got it direct, and you've got the end buyer's connection. And then also too, I mean, what I always say to everybody is realtors are still going to be your best friends. So as a licensed agent, don't look at other agents in your brokerage or on other teams or even in other states or markets as competition. Collaborate and find ways to bring them deals. So
100%. Golden. Will you put this iPad up real quick, Matt? Yep. This is, look at this. Very simply, 100 cash buyers. I want you to find 100 cash buyers. Okay, this is going to be huge because then you're going to have a confidence to know that you're going to be able to sell these deals that you're making offers on if that's the exit strategy that you want. I want you to have all three options. Buy it to hold, buy it to flip, buy it to wholesale, right? Or lock it up to wholesale. But you need to have your cash buyers. This is where it's going to be really, really, really important because you're going to be able to make these offers and know that you're going to get paid twice on them because you have in your pocket these buyers that are just waiting. Like you've got a list of buyers that are like, what do you got? What do you got?
Always.
What do you got?
Every day.
What do you got?
Every day.
What do you got? Whether it be Keegley, whether it be Templeton,
Right.
whether it be Corey Geary, whether it be any of these guys, right? Any of these groups, any of these companies, you're going to have these people that are looking for it. If you get 100, I mean, start with 10 and make sure that they're legit, but build it to 100. I'm telling you, you are going to have a huge advantage in making these offers. All right, so Golden, first, love the name. That's fantastic. Second, congrats on getting your license, right? He just got his license, or he is licensed? He's new. You know, just start. I would without a doubt just start making those offers and start finding those opportunities. Yeah, and build those cash buyers. There's Colin King, old school TTP. Great to see you on here, Colin, as a new agent as of this week.
There we go.
Nice, congratulations.
I'm excited about using MLS to farm deals. What are some of the key this is
beautiful.
This is great.
Beautiful.
Key terms, words you use as search parameters for setting up searches in MLS.
All right. Albert, you're going to have to help me out here, but
we got quite a few. I mean, at the same time, it's finding motivation. It's that word that you used right there. It's motivation, just like you showed in the private remarks that we just saw. Motivated seller. Does that not tell you, hey, I want to sell, I need to sell fast?
Yep.
As is. Cash.
And invest is my favorite word because you catch investments, investor, investors, TLC, handyman, cash, REO, quick close.
What do you guys think
as
about
is?
Owner finance?
Absolutely. My big thing is that's not really my realm that I like to play around too much in. But I will tell you, like, for example, with Pace's model, dude, there is a serious market on the MLS with creative finance buyers. I can tell you right now, we had a deal that closed 2 days ago, the land out in Maricopa, that my seller was dying to do creative finance. I just couldn't get the structure to make sense for where his payment was because I couldn't build anything out there to cash flow.
Yeah.
But the amount of sellers that are willing to take seller financing, I mean, if you're doing creative finance,
they literally list it on the MLS.
Yeah.
They'll tell you seller financing. Now, why don't most people do that? It's because most of the times the sellers are unrealistic with their terms and what they want and the down payment and the interest and all that. They're just getting wacky with it. They're like somebody that lists a property for double what it's worth, typically with those owner finance. But doesn't mean you can't submit offers.
Exactly, and it's all about terms.
If anything,
it's the terms.
The terms.
And what I always say too is 9 times out of 10, if a property isn't selling on the MLS, it's either a bad seller or a bad agent.
Yep.
And if it's a bad seller, it might be overpriced. The only tricky part of that transaction, if you're gonna be going like creative finance and whatever, like seller finance structuring, is that you're gonna have to buy out the listing agent that's in the transaction. That's the only issue I've ever come across. But aside from that, it's absolutely able to be done.
Colin, handyman special, fixer upper, perfect investor anything,
distressed,
as is.
Weeds, violations.
You know, one I found, limited spuds.
Limited spuds.
That's good.
Explain what spuds is.
So,
seller property disclosure statement.
So that's the one where what
is a seller property disclosure statement?
They have to disclose everything that they know about the property, whether it's bad roof, if there's a flood, if things have been replaced, something that just protects the end buyer. Like, oh, hey, this is what I know about the house. I'm passing my knowledge on to you. Well, there's a word that agents put in, limited spuds, because the owner never lived there. They've just told you the person that owns that house was never in there. So that'll tell you, hey, maybe it was a rental. Maybe they were never there. Something that they're ready to just unload.
Not only that, but that's a cover your ass statement.
Oh,
absolutely.
Sure.
Right?
Absolutely.
Limited spuds. The reason they say that is because they know something is going to pop up that they probably don't know about, or they do, and they just don't want to tell you. And they're just saying, hey, listen, if you want to do this, it's going to be limited disclosure.
Right.
Because we don't deal with this as just going direct to the seller, because typically we use our own contract and we're not having the seller disclose everything because people are going to fix it up anyway, right? But on I think every single real estate agent contract in every state, they have some section in that with the disclosure that the seller has to make. The seller has to disclose if they agree to that contract.
Even if it's limited.
If they agree to the terms of that contract, they have to disclose everything they know about the property.
Yep.
So there you go.
Good question, though.
Ryan.
All right. I spoke with my realtor friend, and he said he will work with me. What's my next step? Love it. That is what's up. That is a win. Let's celebrate that. What I will tell you is that you want this realtor to go and just be a dog. Like, this guy's got to be talking to sellers for you. And basically, when he's going and prospecting, they should be talking to sellers anyway when they're trying to find their next listing appointment. You basically just teach them to add in one extra line of, okay, well, once you hear any type of motivation from the seller, or it could be a distressed home, they know their first step is to call you. They can bring a cash offer onto the table anytime at any transaction with you being the buyer there. So you just want to make sure he feels comfortable coming to you with any and all opportunities. And also you want to make sure that you feel comfortable underwriting properties and knowing what your buy number could be to these realtors when they bring you the opportunities. So I would say your next step is basically getting him hyped up, getting him pumped, ready to go, finding opportunities. And then if you want him to have some kind of like KPI to like structure any type of like, hey, I want to have X amount of offers out per day. I want you to have X amount of conversations with other sellers and send me potential leads or opportunities. Whatever you want to structure that with them, just make sure you're setting the expectations now with the foundation at the beginning.
Yeah, minimum standards. What is the relationship's minimum standards? And literally just have that conversation. You know, how do you like to communicate? We need to make X amount of offers every single day. We need to meet, you know, once a week or whatever to review and look at our scoreboard. And that's very simple. How many offers did you make?
Right.
How many got accepted? How many did you close?
Right.
Like that's pretty simple.
That's
a pretty simple scoreboard. The other thing is you need to build your team, Ryan. Right now, you need to go and you need to find that escrow officer at the title company that does investment deals, or a closing attorney that does investment deals. That's absolutely part of your team. They got to be part of that team. All right? It can't just be your real estate agent's brokerage's preferred title company. It's not going to work. You need to find, or a closing attorney. It's not going to work. You got to find the very specific ones. Not only that, but you got to get a proof of funds. You got to get a letter of credit from one of these private money lenders, one of these hard money lenders. You're going to need to be able to put together a very solid package.
Have to.
I remember submitting offers, and I was doing this model in 2005. Okay. But we had to do it with a fax machine. Okay. We did it with a fax machine. We'd print everything out. We'd send everything in. It was a disaster. It was absolutely disaster. And 2005 was this type of market.
Right.
I mean, we're like, this is like nearing it. It's crazy. We would find opportunities, but none of them panned out because of we didn't have the financing set up. So what I learned was, okay, here is a letter of credit from a hard money lender. Here's the purchase contract. Here's a copy of a earnest money deposit. It's just a copy, but it just shows money there. And I think that was like the bulk of the package.
Right.
There might have been one other thing, but I would send that in, and that would just seem more reasonable.
Absolutely.
They didn't have to ask for something
the
else.
The only other thing we add in there would be testimonials of like past deals we've done, or if we have past or current deals that we've already done as flips.
Love it.
Because if we're trying to separate ourselves from the pack to be able to say this is the difference of what we could do, it's basically just adding more validity to you as a buyer.
That's great. So one, build your team, right? And build that packet so that when you submit that offer, the agent doesn't have to ask you for additional things. Because if they have to ask you for additional things, slows down the timeline. Time kills all deals. Somebody else sneaks into there, starts pouring honey into that agent's ear, starts being, okay, listen, I can make this better. I'm a better buyer, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden, by the time you get them back with whatever they're asking for, they've already accepted it. And they're like, sorry, I already accepted an offer. Make it easy for them to say yes, Ryan.
Can you imagine how easy on the traditional side you came to and you got this beautiful packet of everything you possibly needed?
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but for me, I'd be like, that's the guy. I got everything I need. He knows what he's doing.
Listen, most agents submit the sloppiest contracts of all time.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes they're not even signed. Sometimes they're only
initials.
Oh, my gosh.
Missing boxes, missing things.
I'm telling you, with this strategy, have everything, all your ducks in a row, have it all lined up perfectly with all of the paperwork and the story and the credibility. Once that you've got 15 seconds, 30 seconds of that agent's time to create that impression that you are the one to go with.
Absolutely.
Woo! We're getting into deep stuff today. I like that. We're going back to 2005 facts and offers. That's awesome. All right,
from Addison. How can you leverage real estate agents so they bring you ugly off-market deals or properties they don't want to touch? This is just by everything we've been saying this whole show. Like, you have to tell them how your business works and make sure they understand that when they're presented in front of those opportunities, the very first person that comes to mind is going to be you. So again, if this is somebody that as a real estate agent that you don't have a relationship with, it's basically giving them the same thing. Give them a packet of, this is what I come to the table with as a buyer. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I do. So when they are in front of an off-market ugly deal, or they're at a property that they're going to list that they don't want to touch, it may look bad, maybe bad condition, it may not even be something they want to put their name on. That's completely fine. Like I said, the biggest thing is you want them to be like, hey, Addison, what do I do? And so in this instance, it's just training these real estate agents. It's setting the expectations and giving them, again, maybe the packet of, this is what I bring to the table. Go out and find me those opportunities, and I will be the best buyer that you'll work with.
Here's the interesting thing about real estate agents, Addison. Most real estate agents have to be the proactive one. They have to be the one that is reaching out to their clients or their people or whatever and seeing if they can get referrals, seeing if they can get deals, seeing if they can get opportunities or listings and buyers and all these things. When you, as the investor, are hitting them up once a week with a text message, hey, do you have any opportunities, any flip opportunities, any ugly houses coming up, anything like that? I am telling you, that's all the difference in the world. Like, literally just a text message once a week. Hey, what do you have? Anything coming up that would be a great investment property, a great flip? We're ready to go. We've got cash burning and a hole in our pocket. Like, let's go. You do that with real estate agents. You pick a stable of 50 to 100 of them that are in those markets and have listed properties that have been rough before. You're going to get some incredible referrals and some incredible opportunities. The flip side is, every single agent that these guys are doing business with, every single agent now should be followed up with, like, hey, what else you got?
Yeah.
Like, the last deal went really smooth, right? Last deal was like, I want to be your number one cash buyer. Like, what else do you have popping up?
Absolutely.
And listen, sometimes they don't.
Right.
You know, most agents only sell 2 houses a year.
Right.
But the ones that do a really good job are the ones you want to build.
Absolutely.
Real quick, Matt, will you go to my screen again? Just for everybody that's jumping on, 100 offers for 7 deals. Sorry for the handwriting. It's like at a weird angle. I don't know. 100 offers, 7 deals. That's what it's looking at. That's the shakeout of that. Now, obviously, the amount of money you make per deal is going to depend on the market that you're in and the deals that you find, obviously, and the cash buyers that you're selling it to. But, wow, that's incredible.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a full-time job.
I was just saying that obviously.
That's a full-time.
You got to remember, it's broken into different pieces in the team. We've got acquisition guys that go and find deals. TC ends up doing the paperwork.
Right.
Albert and I review the offers to make sure that everything's good with systems. Then obviously that the numbers are good if the team needs help with underwriting.
Yep.
But that also varies. I mean, there's been months that we submit 60 offers and get 20. I mean, there's been months that we submit 100 and we'll get 5. I mean, it just average-wise, 7 is a good number.
Awesome. Woo, that's got to get people pumped. I'm telling you, forever. Mona, can you be a licensed agent and wholesaler simultaneously? Jeez Louise, and get paid as the agent and wholesaler on the same deals?
Dude, that's my model. Yeah. Absolutely. That is it. So
show them that settlement statement again, real quick, Matt.
So this is
this is proof
real life example.
Right here.
Yep.
Mona.
So as you guys can see, where it says payoffs right up there in the top or in the left, it's a left side. You see 120,000. Go down 2 sections, you'll see that 23,650. That is our commission, $11,825 to Stunning Homes Realty. We do have an agreement with our brokers, so we have to pay a little bit of money out of that to our broker.
Commission.
Yep. And then down below that's highlighted, assignment fee to 34 Holdings. So we got $5,000 on an assignment as well as $11,825 in commission. So to answer your question with a real life example, absolutely, that is my business model to a T, and also that is exactly what I would recommend for anybody that is a licensed agent, is to figure out how to do these wholesale deals and connect yourself widely with other developers, fix and flippers, buy and hold investors, so on.
Awesome.
Yeah, love it.
Tila. Ooh. I'm in Maryland where dual agency is not allowed. Yep. Will I still need an agent to represent me if I'm getting a deal from a realtor?
That's a really good question. If it's off market, no. If it's on market, yes. And if you are going to be going on market, what you could do, I'd have to double check that. Don't quote me to it, but in Maryland, you could always still go unrepresented in the transaction where there is no buyer's agent at all, rather than the listing agent getting both sides of commission. You could always ask her if that's an option. If it is, I would recommend that first. If not, if there's a signed listing agreement, try to go off market then, and then basically have the realtor be the one selling the deal. Either they get it under contract with the seller and sell it to you, or maybe you go direct to the seller, get it all under contract, but you have something in writing where you'll pay the agent outside of escrow.
Yeah, and just have a backup agent, Tila. You know, if it runs into a situation where they're like, hey, you can't, because I'm licensed in Maryland, you need somebody else that's licensed to be negotiating on your behalf, then just squad up with a real estate agent that wants to get, you know, an easy commission.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm seeing that a lot in states like where dual agency is not allowed, brokerages aren't allowing it.
Yep.
I always wonder and question when I come across the agent, like when I'll call and be like, can you represent me in the transaction? Because that's the best solution there.
Yep.
And they have like the conversation where they're like, yeah, no. And I'm like, oh, is that the broker or the seller's doing? And they're like, it's my own personal preference. I'm like, you don't want to make twice as much money?
No.
And they're like, well, I don't feel like I could represent both sides fairly. I'm like, I'm licensed. I can represent, like, just.
Well, listen, it's a ethical and moral, you know,
I mean, you
thing
could
for a lot of people. You know what I mean? Like, how can you keep the secrets of the fiduciary responsibility of one to the other, and then the other?
And I 1,000% agree with that philosophy. Mine is in an instance like this where, again, it's different because I'm licensed, but being an investor here, I'll cover all closing costs. It's as is. It's quick close. The terms are pretty black and white. Like, I don't need to come in and ask for a $15,000 reduction on every single deal.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's a whole conversation in itself, is dual agency.
Awesome.
Cash investor guy. All right. Why would a realtor have a buyer agent reach out to help me after I told her I'm an investor and don't need any representation, as she could represent both? So I think he's asking here, why did the listing agent have a buyer's agent reach out after he said that he doesn't need any representation, correct?
Yep.
So in this instance, it sounds like maybe the listing agent still couldn't do the dual agency, or they couldn't represent both sides. So they might have had somebody else in the brokerage represent you, and then she's looking to get a referral fee or whatever the case could be there. I'm not sure. But I would say, if anything, this is where I just like to flip my hat around and make the best out of any situation. If you have a realtor reach out, guess what? That's another realtor that you could add to your 100 cash buyer or your 100 realtors you're looking to build a relationship with. Ask them more questions. That's what I would do here. I'd see how you got connected with them from the other agent, and then also just tell them the same spiel. I'm a cash buyer investor. I'm looking to buy a bunch of houses. I'm assuming you might be my new best friend. Could you help me by sending me some properties and some opportunities? Maybe you could represent me in the transaction.
Typically what happens here is, because now that I've read it a few times, I kind of get what's going on here.
Okay.
What a listing agent typically does, if you are a buyer of any sort, they have buyer's agents on their team. And what the buyer's agent's going to do is they're going to go, hey, cash investor guy, what is your buy criteria? What are you looking to buy? And then they're going to start sending you listings. That's all. That's the reason she's having a buyer agent reach out to you, is because they just work with the listings, and their buyers agents on their team work with the buyers. So they'll start sending you listings or talking to you about that and representing you on other listings that they don't have. Okay.
Yeah. Just become their best friend.
This is like somebody that would be on your team. I don't necessarily like if they're in a team environment.
Correct.
I like if they're individual and they would just be on your team.
Yep.
So I would probably avoid that cash investor guy. Be nice to him, like Ryan was saying. Become friendly with them when you submit the offers to the listing agent. At least you're known by the team, and they like you and they understand that you're a great guy.
Right.
But for the most part, don't squat up with somebody that's in a team. Have them outside of a team where it's just you two working together, because
they're not going to bring you as many opportunities too.
No. That's just passive. Hey, I hope that this automatic drip campaign gives you something that you're interested in buying. It's silly.
Check it out, do all the work, and then when you find it, let me know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cody Thomas.
There you go. At Brent Daniels.
Yeah. What disclosures do I need in my contracts if I'm a real estate agent and a wholesaler? Well, first of all, it just depends on what state you're in. So talk to your broker.
Yep.
and they're going to let you know what is required to disclose. In Arizona, you have to disclose that if you have an active real estate license.
Yep.
That's it. So owner of, whatever our LLC that's purchasing is, holds an active real estate license. But talk to your broker. They'll give you the verbiage that you need, and then just put in there, because it's just a disclosure that you're real estate agent.
Sure.
So usually that does.
There's millions of disclosures. Like, the best advice is exactly what Brent just said. Talk to your broker. Your broker will have different requirements.
Yeah, but if you're going direct to seller, Cody, which I assume you are, then just find out what legally, and it's probably been in a class that you went through that
you have to
listen,
disclose.
like me, I forgot, you forgot, whatever. So you've probably already been what you have to disclose if you are the buyer or if you're in the deal. But remember, you're the buyer, so you have to disclose whatever is required in your state. Yeah, but not a big deal. Easy question. You could probably Google it, to be honest. But talk to your broker just for super clear clarification.
Absolutely.
Yep. Alan.
All right. Should I take a break off wholesaling to get my real estate license, or should I keep the flow going with wholesale? Dude, this is such a solid question.
I'm curious. What
so,
do you think?
My opinion, what I tell people, especially like the ones that I coach, like they'll come in and they're typically not licensed, and so they're very intrigued by the MLS offers and how we're doing all this, and they're like, I'm gonna go get my license, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. It's that whole trying to have your horizon spread way too thin, in my opinion. What I would say is, I see you say take a break off. If you're currently wholesaling and you're making money wholesaling, my answer is absolutely yes, go get your real estate license. Keep in mind, to get your real estate license, it could be anywhere from 10 days to 30 days. I think you have up to a year to get it once you start.
Yep.
So I would say once you commit, the best advice I can give you with real estate school, just myself, was that I struggled with it, was go and get it knocked out as soon as possible. So if you're wholesaling, you're making money, and you have the money to invest into real estate, getting a real estate license, yes, it's a write-off. You can get it done quick. It adds more tools to the tool belt. If you're looking to get started and you're brand new, I do not recommend getting licensed first. I recommend building relationships with realtors, get a few deals under your belt, make some money, then pay for the real estate license.
Love it. Yeah, Alan, listen. If you do it I mean, if you go through the crash course, it's a full-time, right? Kind of schedule.
10 days.
I mean, typically it's 90 hours of total class time. But if you could do it, if you could space that out, it's not full-time. You could do it. You could do this in your spare time. You could do this from the time that, from 7 to 9 p.m. every night, and
especially
for
now, too.
A couple months.
It's all online.
Yeah.
So you could get it knocked out really if you wanted to in 30
Don't
days.
slow down the momentum, because then you got to listen. If you're generating leads, that's the engine of your business. It's keeping you're going down the tracks. You're building the momentum, and then just stop and cool off the engine.
I would say
no way,
you've got to find somebody to come and at least pick that up and work the leads while you're still doing that too. Don't, like you said, don't shut off the engine.
Yeah, or do both. Just
you can do both.
Alan.
You can do both.
You got this.
Yeah.
There's 168 hours in a week.
Albert did his first wholesale deal when he weren't even licensed.
I was not licensed.
Yeah,
I barely knew what wholesaling was, and I got it.
And then you were going through real estate school when you were still working with us all. So.
Yep. Awesome. Dr. Misha. All right. Is there a fee in a pay the realtor for partnering with me?
No. So the seller pays the commission. So as long as you're the buyer in the transaction, you're not paying them. And if the realtor asks you to pay them, the answer is no.
Yeah. If you design the relationship so that you get the wholesale or the assignment fee and they get the commission, I mean, there's going to be times where they're making double what you are. I mean, look at this deal.
Right.
The commission was $11,000 plus, and the assignment was $5,000.
Yep.
So they're gonna be hitting some home runs.
Absolutely.
If you present this right, you're going to be unstoppable.
Yep.
Because I'm telling you get somebody on your team that's an agent putting together these offers and submitting it. I mean, you're building up that cash bar database, getting those deals sold. If you don't want to flip them or hold them. Man, that's a nice relationship. Mm-hmm. It's a great relationship.
From Andrew. How do I find someone to take pictures of a property for me ASAP? I found my best success is just by going into Facebook groups, and I put, hey, looking for boots on the ground in this city, willing to pay $50 to $100.
You can also post on Craigslist. What we do is we post on Craigslist for, depending on the market, $50 to $75. We need you to go out. Here's the checklist.
All the photos.
Of the photos that we need you to send out. If you need a copy of that checklist, it's in ttpinsider.com, ttpinsider.com. And then you send that to them. You make the post 50 to 75. Just say, hey, listen, nothing fancy. Use your camera phone. Just make sure that they're clear pictures. And these are the pictures that I need you to take. Yep. Put them into a Google Drive or into a Dropbox. Send me the link, and I'll Venmo you the $50, $75.
There you go.
Easy peasy. That's an easy one. Just post it to Craigslist. Post it, or do they have job postings in Facebook? In the marketplace?
I just like post it in like the city Facebook groups.
Yeah. There you go.
Is it okay to double close on every deal? Sure. For me, this is actually a really good example. So we had a deal that was earlier this week. It was a couple days ago that Albert and I were discussing if we double close it or assign it. We actually decided to assign it because we have a, what are the numbers on that? It's 10K wholesale?
Yeah,
15K wholesale. When we were breaking down the numbers on the settlement sheet of what it would be, it was going to take us down probably about $4,000 to $5,000 double closing it.
Yeah.
And so our assignment was only going to end up being 10.
Yeah.
We still have to pay out the TC, still have to pay out the acquisition manager, still have to pay off marketing money. Like, it's just, in that instance, we decided it would be better to assign it, and we know that obviously we're going to be on the settlement sheet. It's fine. But to answer your question, absolutely. My big thing is it just has to have the spread to make sense for a double close.
Yep.
Don't spend the money in closing costs to make $3,000 when you could have made $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 if you just assigned it.
So Ryan's using a term TC. That means transaction coordinator. So basically, once the paperwork, once the agreement is signed, then it gets turned over to his transaction coordinator, and they make sure that everything goes smooth. They open up escrow, make sure all the ducks are in a row, stay on top of everybody, make sure that the agent is getting all the paperwork and information that they need in. Yep. It's a huge role. It is absolutely critical, because I will tell you, the paperwork on a MLS deal, a traditional MLS deal, is 10 times the paperwork on a regular direct-to-seller.
Absolutely.
Not only that, but it takes up a lot of time, and it's not income-producing time. This is servicing time. This is income service. This is operational.
Yep.
So getting into that, building a transaction coordinator into your business is going to be critical.
It's a must.
And oftentimes, in a lot of real estate brokerages, they have a specific transaction coordinator that will work for either $200 or $300 or $500, not $500, but $200 to $400 per deal. They'll take care of everything for you, and in my opinion, it is always worth it, because for the literally hours of time that they save you, you can be out there finding other deals, negotiating other deals, building better relationships, squatting up with interesting and incredible people. Yep. That's what you should be doing. Paperwork, man, you'll drown in it. You'll drown in it, and then your business will always do this, because you're going to take your foot off the pedal of lead generation. Don't do that.
Goes back to
transaction
building the team, making sure you've got the right people in the right spots that allow everyone to really maximize their best efforts.
Yep. Alan, how do I start conversation with seller when walking through the home to make the seller feel comfortable? Well, first, Alan, if you are, I'm going to assume that you're going direct to seller here, and then I'll let Ryan talk about if it's a seller that's occupying a property that's listed. All right. So first off, you should have already had every conversation. Listen to me, and this is with an agent or this is with a seller. You are looking for the skeleton of the conversation, the scaffolding of this conversation is the 4 pillars of pre-qualifying: the condition of the property, their timeline to sell, their motivation to sell, and their price. Okay, so the first time as you're going through a home, you should have already talked to them, right? There's no reason why you should be going on an appointment with somebody that you haven't pre-qualified, because you're going to spin your wheels, and people are, and you're going to go on way too many appointments, and they're literally just trying to get the price out of you so that they can keep that in their back pocket. So mentally they know what their property's worth, or to be worse, they leverage your offer against another opportunity, another buyer. So, Alan, remember the 4 pillars of pre-qualifying: condition, timeline, motivation, price. You can talk, you can build rapport, you can ask them about their family, you can ask them about their life, whatever it is. But remember, all the conversations come back to those 4 things.
Absolutely.
And as you're walking through a property, the comfortability comes from 2 words. And I want you to like sear it into your brain. All right? Number 1 is the word certainty. Number 2 is the word likability. I am telling you, if you are certain and likable and you're going through this house, you will melt their defenses, you will melt their force field, you will bring down all of their ability to keep you at arm's length, and they're gonna be confident in having a good quality conversation with you.
Absolutely.
Certainty and likability. Now, if it's a owner of a property that's occupied and the property's listed, when you walk through and the owner's there, is there any?
So with us being licensed, it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
We can't really discuss too much with the seller.
Mm-hmm.
If we have somebody on the team who goes that's not licensed and the seller's there, it's free game. I like to see, I mean, you'll walk into a house and there's been days we've walked in day 1 of the inspection period, day 2, and they've got boxes already going. I'm like, whoa, do you have a place to go to? Because then when you're in the inspection period and you're looking for price reductions, you're looking for any type of motivation to get that price down, whatever the case is, we know their situation because we're obviously in it. So again, it kind of varies a little bit. If it's someone on my team licensed that's there, we can't really discuss too much with the seller. If it's someone that's not licensed, we just want to figure out, again, motivation, one of your pillars. Figure out what their situation is, and then if there's anything else that they need. Sometimes what we found is that we can negotiate anything. So there's been times that we've been like, hey, we'll pay for the seller to get a moving truck if we can get our 5K price reduction, because they're like, well, I can't drop the price. I need this for this, and this. That's going to be coming in the next 30 days.
Yep.
I was like, well, all those things you listed, it's only going to be like $500. Here's $1,000. And they're like, oh,
love it.
Done. Okay, well, I got my price reduction. They got theirs. Just solving problems, handling. Yeah.
Eddie.
Ooh. How do you find a buyer if you don't have any? I will actually give you a tip that's from one of my buddies. It's basically just going on to tax records and pulling all the cash buyers that have bought in the last 6 months. We were just talking about doing that with our database too, going basically through the MLS. And this is, again, specifically to this topic for today's show. But you can use tax records to see who the cash buyers are in your market. From there, it's just same cold call. You're picking up the phone. This is just where you're getting cussed out a little bit less. And you're saying, hey, I'm an investor. I come across a lot of properties. I see you bought a property on 123 Main Street in Phoenix. If I came across another property that was similar to that, would you be interested in buying it?
Eddie, this is going to sound crazy, but it works 100% of the time. Okay. First of all, make sure you have a deal.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So the biggest hurdle when you're getting started out, Eddie, is not the buyers. The biggest hurdle is this a deal or is this not a deal? This is why people get coaches. This is why people get mentors. This is why people run it by local people in town. This is why people do this, because deal or no deal is the biggest hurdle, and then how big of a deal is the next.
Right.
Okay? Now, just bear with me. Let's assume that you have a smoking deal, Eddie. It's a good, solid deal. I would go into every investment group in that city, in that area, in that state, and I would literally say this. I would say, I have an incredible off-market opportunity, but I literally have no buyers for it. Can somebody please help?
Dude, that post would blow up. And not only that, especially if you're newer and you have actual legitimate buyers, you're going to come across a lot of wholesalers doing this method, but it's okay, because as you guys have seen from the settlement sheets I've shown you the last 2 weeks, like, both of our deals have been sold. Mm-hmm. I don't care. Mm-hmm. So if you're able to bring it to a wholesaler, make sure they're connected to actual buyers. And
make sure they put the earnest deposit down.
Absolutely.
Too. Make sure that they're putting the $5,000 non-refundable earnest. Yep. That's something that you want to just say. But listen, Eddie, I think a lot of people make the mistake of trying to assume people are going to take advantage of them off the bat. I think if you go out there with a little bit of, hey, listen, I am naive to this a little bit. I need some help. Will somebody help me out? And then they reach out, and then you start talking about the deal, and then you start talking to a few other people, and you see who you really like, and it's somebody that's you can build a good relate. Now, listen, you're going to have to kiss some frogs, for sure. You're going to have the scummiest of the scum probably reach out to you, but you're going to feel that. You're going to understand, wait, who is this person? This doesn't feel right. They feel aggressive. They feel angry. They feel like they're above me or something. Don't work with those people. Work with the people that ask you questions and want to know more about you and more about the deal.
Most definitely.
And that have a good reputation. And then just look up and find, do these people have a good reputation? Look at their Instagram. Look at their LinkedIn. Look at their Facebook. Look at, do a little bit of investigating and see if people are bitching about these people or if they've got a good reputation. And then from there, you're going to get that deal sold. But if you say, I have a good deal, I have a great deal that's off market, but I have no buyers yet.
Dude,
I'm just getting started.
I love that
Can
verbiage.
Anybody help me?
That verbiage, like seriously, make a note of that, guys. The way that you say that, it's coming across vulnerable and authentic.
Yes.
That people are going to love it.
I'm telling you, you will blow up with buyers if you post that.
Yep. Just have a deal.
Yep. Just have a deal. That's number one.
From Kevin, after you find your buyer for your contract, are you supposed to send the original contract to the buyer as well? We have to send both. Absolutely not. I don't send our original purchase contract to our end buyer just because you don't always want them to know what the terms, well, they're going to know the basic terms, what the close of escrow is, what the earnest money they have to put in, title company, purchase price. They're going to have all that. But as for showing them what you have it under contract for, I don't necessarily recommend that. I would say that you're giving away a lot of your leverage in the transaction. And sometimes, unfortunately, as much as I don't want to admit this, I come across buyers that are going to try to dictate what they think that my fee is that's fair for the deal they're buying from me. Oh, how about I only get $5,000? Well, if I could have made 15, 20, 30, even let's go stupid, 50, 60,000, you think a buyer would be okay with you making that if you were to send them, hey, I have it here and I'm selling it to you here? I know most buyers would try to eat that at least $10,000, $15,000 right from the start. So I don't recommend showing your end buyer the original contract.
I'm going to yin to your yang a little bit here.
Let's do it.
When you're signing a contract, Kevin, they need to know the terms of the contract that they're getting assigned. I mean, they're literally taking over a legally binding agreement. So having them understand what they're agreeing to is pretty important. Now, what I will say is if I have the option, so somebody says, I want the deal.
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm going to send the assignment. I'm not sending the assignment with the purchase contract. I'm sending the assignment. And then they go, and then I have another person that's like, hey, I really like this deal. Will you send me the purchase contract so that I can review before you send me the assignment? Sure, but this guy already wants the assignment. So I'm probably going to go with this guy because this guy's ready to go and he wants me to assign it and he understands that this is a deal. So I'm probably going to go with this one instead of this one. Now, if your only option, because you don't have a lot of cash buyers, is I need to see your contract so I know what I'm agreeing to, that's probably the smart buyer. That's probably not the best buyer, but probably a smart buyer. This is probably a buyer that's legit, that's really going to look through this, is going to make sure that everything is smooth and goes well, as opposed to those rock stars out there that are like, yeah, give me the deal. I'll do something with it. Just give me the deal. I've got enough resources. I'm going to do something with it. I'll either buy it myself or I'll sell it to somebody else. You know what I'm talking about.
Course,
I mean, these are all the usual cast of characters that we deal with every single day.
Of course.
But if it is somebody that wants to see the contract and they're your only one, I'm fine with that. Listen, Kevin, at some point, you got to stand your ground with your cash buyers. If they understand that you have a reputation that you're not going to take a price reduction or reduce how much you're making on your deals because you have great deals, then people will stop messing with you. But if you are timid, if you are hesitant, if you've only got 3 buyers and that one buyer is Mr. Analytical, Mr. Engineer type that has to see every word and dot every I and cross every T and do all that, you're at the mercy of that in the beginning. And if they want to try to negotiate because you're making too much, if you don't have a backup buyer or other buyers, you're going to have to eat it. I mean, I'd rather you make something than nothing.
I agree with that.
I'd rather you make some money than them going, okay, no problem. I'll just wait till your contract expires and then go directly to the seller myself, right? That's why we have really good buyers. That's why the key to this whole thing is your network. The only value in a wholesaling business, truly, I mean, there's some operations, there's some, procedures, there's some things here and there. Yep. But really, if you wanted to sell a wholesaling business, the only asset that you have is your cash buyer database.
I agree with that.
I'm telling you.
Emails, yeah.
I'm telling you, it is the database, it's the relationships, it is that pipeline that says once I get this deal, I can send it here and get paid.
Right.
That's the asset in these businesses. So there you go.
Got some good balance there.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to send them the contract.
Yeah.
But if they ask for it, it's also like an indicator. If they're asking for it, I'm like, these people probably aren't doing a lot of deals.
Right. You must be asking for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah. Couple more questions, and then we're going to round this thing out. We've got 6 minutes left. Wow, this flew, man.
Love it.
Taylor RRR.CX in the house. How do you formally, professionally cancel a contract?
That sucks. So it can be done just through an addendum. Reach out to the realtor. There's a cancellation doc, depending on what state and market you're in, too, that they'd want to go through. Sometimes title has a cancellation form they want you to fill out. As long as you are in your due diligence period or your inspection period, you cancel. There's no harm, no foul. You get your earnest money back. If you are out of your due diligence period or inspection period, that earnest money that you deposited would go to the seller. So as for how to formally, professionally do it, make sure title company doesn't have a form that they want you to fill out, and then obviously reach out to your realtor that be representing you and have them do that. If it's an off-market deal, we just have a form that's literally a cancellation notice that says, like, buyer is going to be canceling this contract per the terms of X, Y, and Z.
Call your escrow officer or call your closing attorney and say, what needs to be done for me to cancel? And then they'll let you know. And if they need specific language, specific documents, then they should be able to give you that, Taylor.
Yep.
But mostly it's just, you got to communicate with either the seller, if it's with the seller, or with the agent.
Right.
Then just communicate with them. Don't just shy away and be like, oh, I'm canceling, because then you've just burnt that relationship forever. But if you're like, hey, listen, like, I didn't realize that it needed, $20,000 extra in work, and so I can't make this price happen.
Yep.
All right. I'm willing to do it at this price, but if not, I have to cancel the contract. Where should I send it? Yep. And then they have the opportunity to either, take a price reduction or just cancel it. Right. And listen, a lot of the times it does get canceled. A lot of the times they're like, you know what? If I can get this price, I'll sell it. And then we go to that, and then, it doesn't work, and then all of a sudden.
Well, and remember what I said, 100 a month is 7 deals.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not going 7 for 7.
Right.
We'll get 15 to 20 accepted.
Oh, that's a good point.
So, I mean, keep in mind, I'm human too. I will tell you our numbers have gotten much better recently, where we only cancel about 2 to 3 a month. But 2 to 3 a month is 2 to 3 a month. Don't forget that. So It happens.
Awesome. One more. Addison. How have you guys blocked out naysayers? My family is dead set on the idea of graduating college. Now we're getting into it. We're doing it and getting a regular job. They claim real estate should be a side hustle, and it's driving me nuts. So, you ever heard that?
Oh, man. So I absolutely.
You ever been through that, Albert?
That was me.
Well, I was just going to say, I want to throw it over to Albert, because, Albert, let's talk about the difference between side hustle and full-time effort. What was the biggest difference and takeaway?
Time and effort. So you have decision fatigue, right? You can only decide on so many things in a day before you are physically tired from making decisions. And when you split your effort between your college job versus real estate, you can't make the best decisions in either or.
Yep.
I will say, I understand the naysayers, because I was the same way. Like, why are you giving up your good, comfy 9 to 5? Well, it all goes back to what we were talking about the other day. It's mindset. It's risk. You're risking losing your job, but flip that hat around. And to Addison here, flip the hat on. What are you risking if you don't take the leap? Mm-hmm. You're risking financial freedom. You're risking the opportunity to give your family or your future family, things that you wish you had or you want to give to your family. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's that you're risking your future if you didn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I say that as for naysayers, you're going to have haters anywhere. I mean, whether or not it's your friends, your family, whoever the case is, like, it's unfortunate, but at the end of the day, it's very real. And I mean, I'm sure you've seen it. I've seen it. Albert's seen it.
Listen, Addison. And maybe this is just my brain, but I use that as the biggest, like, that's rocket fuel for me.
Yeah.
Like when people are saying you can't do it, or go do this, or go do that, maybe it's just my like anti, have authority thing, anti, having a boss, anti, this whole thing when somebody's telling me what I can do with my life. Ooh, I'm going to show you. Right. I am going to show you. I am telling you, that is fuel for entrepreneurs. That is fuel for you. There is a reason why you're going against the grain. That's why you're
watching the show.
You're not, well, and why the family is dead set on you doing something else, because they feel what's best for you is this, but you're not like them.
Right.
Just accept that. At some point, you have to accept that you have a different brain.
Right.
You have an entrepreneur's brain. All right, you have a brain that wants more flexibility and options in life.
Yep.
More freedoms in life.
Yep.
All right, that is the fuel. And if they're saying no, ooh, man, that fires me up. Like, I want to go out there and get pumped up. Like, I'm just living vicariously through you right now, Addison.
Like, don't you just want to do it just to say, like, yeah, I did it?
Of course.
Right.
Every time.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and even so, I mean, I had the naysayers too. So when I got out of high school, I mean, this is a little bit different between me and most people on my team, is that most people on my team, they went to college.
Yep.
I had the pressure from teachers, administrators, counselors at the school, and then also, just similar to you, my family. My aunt is a political science professor at a university. She has her doctorate talking about history in college. Mm-hmm. She's on TV talking about how you need to go to college, you need to go to college. My mom was pushing it, college, college, college. The only person that wasn't was my father. And I just had the instillment of the entrepreneurship background from him that I was like, man, I could go out and make this life for myself and create my own opportunities, create my own jobs. And more importantly, just the future. Like what you were saying, it's that if you could take this in passion of whatever it is that you're looking to build. I've said this before, real estate for me is not the passion, it's the vehicle. It's what allows me to get to the financial freedom, which allows me to be able to pour into shows like this and give back and tell you guys how to do the right things. You're on this show listening for a reason. I can tell you, as the guy up here talking, that the best advice you could have, go against whatever the naysayers are telling you to do. If they're saying you can't do it, guess what? It's because they're probably scared that what happens if you do? What happens if you do it and you're successful? Mm-hmm. Then you could look back. Those are going to be the same people that are going to be like, I had supported them the whole way there. I watched them do this. There was never a doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
Where's my help?
Yeah.
And so you just got to keep that in your back pocket and understand this is mindset. You got to be super strong here mentally. And I would say just double down and go against the grain. So
listen, Addison, I mean, here's the example. 5 years ago, he graduated high school. Now he's this close to being a millionaire. Now, while all the other people he went to school with have student debt, starting out at the bottom, making a fraction of a fraction. These are just statistics, not specifically the people that you went to high school, but statistically, that's the facts.
No, seriously.
Statistically, 23-year-olds are buried in student debt if they went to college.
Right.
And their net worth is basically nothing.
And you want real life examples?
Nothing.
My best friends that are doing the best in life financially are the ones that did the route of starting at the bottom. They went and they worked the traditional blue collar job, and they worked their way up from where they were at ground zero to now they're capped out at $65,000-$75,000 a year.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong, at 23 that's fantastic. But the amount of sweat equity that goes into it, the amount of physical labor, the amount of sacrifice, and
there's a shelf life,
right?
I mean, you can only do that for so long.
Well, and the only guarantee is that 401k, it's the health benefits.
Yep.
You got to take the leap of faith and put yourself out there to get more opportunities presented in front of you, and that's by going and being self-employed, having that entrepreneurial lifestyle.
That's right, baby. Awesome, guys. Thank you for joining us. That was a fast 90 minutes. That was fantastic. Thank you, Ryan, for breaking that all down. Join us every Thursday, 10 a.m. Arizona time. It switches over to Mountain Time here in October, but until then, we're going to be Pacific time. Make sure that if you have not subscribed, that you subscribe to this channel. We're this close to 50,000 subscribers, and I'm telling you, these are the best 50,000 subscribers on planet Earth. These are the people that are really moving and shaking and doing things out there. So be a part of it. Take advantage of all of the free content and instruction and motivation and inspiration that you get every single day on this channel. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure that you join us every week, Thursday, 10 a.m. You guys are the best.
Absolutely. Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you guys again for listening. I've got to give a shout out. This week has been absolutely crazy for me. I have to give a shout out to my team. Again, I tell you guys a million times, I could not do this without the support of everyone that I've got around me. And it just comes back to tell you guys, your net worth is your network.
That's
network
right.
is your net worth. Said backwards.
My team does nothing. I do it all. I'm the greatest. No. Love you guys. All
Thanks,
right.
guys.
See you guys.
I ran up a check, I might do it again. Enemies close, had me thinking they're friends. 10 toes down, I'll be free until the end. Crib outside the city, I don't feel safe in my hands. Took so many years, I'm just waiting for the wins. I'm in debt to no one but the one who took my sins. I do it for real, there's no reason to pretend. If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up.